What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony from hashtag Be the Change. Truth will set you free. And of course, now blunt force discussion. So, as you guys know, we do a lot of these interviews in studio, but we've got some great opportunities coming up with people that I want to talk to that may not be able to make it all the way to the studio. So, we're calling these point 0.5 blunt force discussions or BFDs. Why? Because they're big effing deals. So this episode, we've got a great guest. I've been talking with Shemaine Nugent. That's right, the Nuge's wife. She's going to come on and talk hopefully in the next couple weeks. And these are going to be our in-between episodes that are providing the same quality content, same quality conversation. We just can't have it in studio. And it's just adding to the great conversations that we are going to have. So with that said, ladies and gents, let's get started with this special episode of Blunt Force Discussion. Ladies and gents, our special guest, we have got our social media influencer, one of the funniest people that I like to follow on social media, Conservative Ant. What is going on?
What's up? How you doing?
Fantastic. All right, first off, so I've been following you for a long time. We finally got to meet one time in person, and you're funny guy. You're also incredibly nice. You've got a whole thing on your videos that you tap on the phone. You've created this character. How did you get into being a social media conservative influencer?
I think like the rest of the country, COVID like sparked my interest in politics and how this world has kind of turned into a whole clown show. So I did, coming from Chicago, I was mad about our second round of lockdown. So I like went off and I had found TikTok and then I just blew up from there. I woke up one day and I was like, oh my God. And then I just continued to do videos and then I started to find my on camera presence and my characters and I brainstormed and like things came to me and I'm like, I'm just putting it on the internet.
So so you've been conservative your whole life, or when did you, what's your political journey?
Yeah, so I am the child of two Italian immigrant parents or came here when they were kids. So I grew up very traditional in the sense of Roman Catholic and all that, but I grew up very liberal. I grew up in an urban suburb outside of Chicago. So I grew up very liberal. And then I came out when I was 18 and I thought it was my duty to vote for liberal. I voted for twice.
Same. No, I did too.
You know what? And I still think like for me, I was like, it is the right time in our history, like to have a black president. I was like, it's about time. Like there were all these things that I was like, of course, why don't we have a black president? Like, hi, well, and he was cool and I was finding myself. But as you become an adult, you start to realize financially, it is really hard to support a Democratic agenda. So I started to be like, okay, I am fiscally conservative. I believe in traditional values pretty much all around. But the Democrats never did anything for me. Right. So I really need to relook at this situation.
Yeah, and when you relook at Obama, like again, I was raised very liberal, and interestingly enough, my mom, who is also now conservative, her big hot topic was pro-choice when I was younger. Like we didn't even eat at Domino's growing up, and it's interesting we're having this discussion right now because the guy was pro-life, and it's like I was raised liberal. And I still have, and as you and I have talked, I have a lot of liberal ideologies, but I'm very conservative from a common sense perspective at this point. But I made the shift. And the other problem during the Obama years, 08, you had McCain, which in the end we found out was not really the best dude on the planet, and Palin. Although I like Palin now, but she wasn't sharp. I mean, smarter than Kamala, but that doesn't say a ton.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I feel like she was like the Republican Kamala.
And then even worse, by the way, was then Romney.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? You also gave people like the crappiest people to choose from at that time. And so I think Obama was polarizing to everyone. I think what set me what set me over the deep end was when he literally lied to us about Obamacare. And like, I was working for a really good company since I was 16. I was in management, like I had really great insurance. And so when he came out and said that our insurance wouldn't be affected or changed, and then it did, and I had employees running in crying because they couldn't use the same OBGYN since they were like teenagers, I was like, this guy's a liar. And then I
Mhm.
started doing my research and I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I became fed up. My stopping point was near the end of his presidency with the when he went from Michael Brown to then the police shootings in Dallas, and he just had this odd not like lack of give a shit
Yeah.
for police officers. And here he was at Michael Brown's funeral and like celebrating these criminals that that died doing something that is a risk of getting killed, like you and that is, I think, what spun us into the polarizing nature of Donald Trump. We needed somebody like him, and that's why we went with him, and then we've just continued to divide.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, so if many don't know, like they were like, when was your complete red pill moment? I had gotten a video sent to me of Brandon Straka of the Walk Away movement. If nobody knows who that is, I encourage you to go and find his videos on YouTube. But he was a gay man from New York. He was a hairstylist, like the quintessential gay man. And somebody sent me this video and they're like, dude, you have to watch this. This guy like walked away from the Democratic Party. And I'm like, so I watched it and I was already, this was during like Trump's campaigning time. So
Mm-hmm.
I was already kind of sold on Trump anyway. I'm like, wait a minute. We all liked him during The Apprentice, right? Why is everybody hating him right now? And then I started watching him more. I'm like, oh, he's hilarious. But uh, so then after I watched this Brandon Straka video, I was like in tears, bro. I was in tears because everything that he said was so obvious. And then it was like that oh shit moment in your head when you're like, you're right. And then I started doing my research, which is a bad idea for Democrats once you start doing your research and you're like, oh my God, oh my God. And I had completely walked away. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not, this is not me.
Yeah. And I'm my moment, my 100%. I mean, business was big. I own my own small business, but my big moment was when I all of a sudden I remembered specifically one girl I went on a date with in 2005. I was just out of college, and this was thinking back in my head because I'm like, why? Just because I'm considering voting for Trump, all of a sudden these people that I know started hating me. I don't care about if they're going to vote for Clinton. I don't judge them. I just think that Clinton's a piece of shit.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I started thinking, I go, oh my God, I remember I was on this date with this girl and she had a George W. Bush bumper sticker. And I was like, oh, I just F this girl. She's horrible. Like, how is this Satan? And I was like, oh my God, we have been the Democratic Party, on top of the lack of logic and lack of facts, we are bred to hate each other. And I can't be a part of that. I just can't. And that
Right.
was my kind of, oh yeah, I can't do this anymore movement.
Yeah, and you know what what actually you just sparked something in me because I never thought about it before, but like if you look at the old Republican Party, not cool. They don't look cool. They're not cool people. Like it was just kind of like this is an old white guy kind of party. It's
Yeah.
not going to be any nobody of culture or sexual orientation is going to like these people. I think what made our government so scared was the fact that if Donald Trump did anything, he created a Republican Party, which is the conservatives. This is in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
the conservative party, which is so diverse and so young and so cool. And we have so many of these awesome podcast and radio hosts and social media influencers and, Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens and like all these people where everybody in our generation can relate to. And they're not insane. They're not crazy. They're not putting blood on their crotch and running in front of the Supreme Court. Like, it's normal people that are like, damn, these people are cool. Like, invite them to Mike Hegger.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're also like, before it was that staunch white guy, like, here's what we're gonna do. And now if you watch like the two different parties when they're on these shows, these whether it's Fox or whether it's CNN, or when you bring them up and you have an expert, you can take a Charlie Kirk who will go 1 minute straight of the most brilliant. And I don't love everything that comes out of his mouth, but holy God, he's brilliant. Candace Owens, same thing.
Shapiro is the same.
Oh yeah, Shapiro. Yep.
He's like so smart. Like he's too smart for like himself, I think. And like I don't agree with every single thing that comes out of his mouth either, but damn does he make some pretty damn good points that are irrefutable.
And it's not about, and we're going to get into this before it's over, it's not about always agreeing with every point. And I do think that's a big weakness on the right, is we feel like we are so tribal, we have to believe everything of every word, and that's why we attack each other more than the left does, which is really, really weird. But we'll get into that. So this is my big, and again, and not to use you as my token gay on this, but
you gotta,
and you're brilliant with it. Your content, I mean, always is great, and this month has been even funnier. So we are now at the end of June, and whenever the full thing comes out this month,
dude.
at year after year, it gets a little bit more intense, a little bit more intense, a little bit more intense. And this year hit a fever pitch on a level I have never seen before. Like this was something else. So to celebrate the end of the month, I'm like, let's talk to Conservative Ann.
Yeah.
So my question to you, what the happened to June?
Oh my God, dude, where do we start? Right? Well, once I saw the switch from the Ukrainian flag on people's Facebook posts to the pride flag, I knew we were in full pride season. Look, if you go to my if any of whoever's watching, like if I go to my content, you might like me, you might not, because some of the quirks that I do in comedy that I do is annoying for some people. I've gotten people say, "Oh, you eat food on some of your videos." I'm like, it's literally my shtick, like. So, but I call out this community because, look, I came from an old school LGBT community, or LGB really was what it was when I started hanging out. And we were all about like the civil movement, right? Equality, being able to get married with no judgment, be able to adopt kids if we want to one day, be able to make decisions for our spouse if they're in their deathbed, like things like that. This year, though, it has turned up a notch. I do not know where these monsters came from, but they've like crawled out of the deepest pits of hell, and they're like, we're doing BDSM at Pride on stage in front of children. And I'm like, what? There's kids there? Why? And so a really big voice and speaking out against the radical LGBTQ. I don't know, Porsche.
Elemental P XYZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cadillac XYZ.
Yeah, and I hate it because as somebody that is on the conservative side, I do catch a little bit of flack even from my co-hosts and the people I talk, because I am pro gay marriage, pro all these, pro gay. Like I don't care. I'm not pro. I'm not anti. I'm literally just like, you do you, and you should have the same laws as everybody else. You should be allowed to get married. Like it's not affecting me. And I see there's an argument with Roe versus Wade. I actually do see a lot of ends of the spectrum and why people can feel a different way. But for the gay marriage thing, it's like, why?
On that too, if you want mine after this, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, I do want to, because I'm gonna use that as a conversation.
But I have like a spitfire answer that's like so common sense, and
okay, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, just ending this month of June and how important somebody like you is. And I read somebody else's post, can't remember his name, another gay influencer, and people like say to me like, well, how can you say that? I can't. I'm not allowed to say the same things that you are, which is why, and I am allowed to.
It's a shame.
It's a shame, but you have just the same way as like Cashley Kelly when he was speaking.
Yeah.
Right. Black people a black conservative or a black truth speaker, I don't care what side of the spectrum on, they can speak to a whole different audience that I can't. Likewise on this, I think it's so important to have people like you that are kind, rational, also funny, and able to have a platform to say, look, this doesn't speak for all of us. And I know a lot of gay Republicans. My girlfriend is a barrel racer. That industry, super gay. And they're also super conservative on that same side. And they take a lot of flack because a lot of Christians will tell them, no, you're not, you can't be conservative, you
Oh
can't be
yeah,
Christian.
from both sides. I've gotten Christians that came for me, and I'm like, look, I have faith in a higher power. I was raised Catholic. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, but I'm one of the few gay guys that'll be like, you also have the right to not like my lifestyle. Your that's your faith.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you? You have to like, if they're Christian, but they've also said, look, I don't agree with your lifestyle, but I love you.
Yeah.
Like, you force it down my throat, and and there's straight people that do some pretty creepy shit in the bedroom. So like, y'all aren't cool either. Y'all are crazy.
Yeah, you got to make sure you look at the whole Bible. Like,
Yeah.
so that line, that one, that all you didn't fit that. Yep. And then
Yep.
the whole concept of like it's what is it? They call it blasphemy or whatever. It's like blasphemy is there's like 27 different variations of the word, and it's like, God, you're nitpicking a book that was written by a lot of politicians. I'm just saying, and as a Christian, I'm saying that it's an imperfect book.
Yes.
Sorry. About to get into Roe versus Wade, but I think we went on to this, and this is the important thing this is following up with that is, as I said, the right likes to cannibalize itself. And as you know, some of the shows and some of the people that I talk to and some of the conversations I have where it's like, well, you know what? They don't fit my religious agenda. I don't even want them on my side. And this goes even for the pro-choice stuff. Like, oh, they're Christian, but they are okay with pro-choice. I don't even want their vote. And I'm like, I think you guys are sacrificing a war for just these little battles. Why is it that the right is just cannibalizing itself and alienating people?
In like alienating people in the sense of them not sticking together and going down each other's throats. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, no. Why is it that they feel like if there's why are we so tribal? Why? Because I think we're affecting our vote in the long run. We're saying if you don't agree with every inch
Yeah.
of what I said, like I say I'm somebody that doesn't like your lifestyle, and we agree on 99 out of 100 things, but you're gay. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't think you're a good person, and that's what I feel is happening a lot.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's that mentality for a lot of them where it's like that betrayal. Like, how dare you betray us? Like, we don't. And look, if I got to give one thing up to liberals, though, like those hardcore liberals, those mother stick together, bro.
Yep.
They stick together thick as thieves, and conservatives just don't a lot of the time, and it's kind of a shame. And I think that sometimes it ruins our parties. But yeah, I don't know if you want to get into Roe yet.
Let's see. Let's do it. So we'll start with Roe versus Wade, and then we're going to go into what could happen with gay marriage. But yeah, so obviously big decision right now. Roe versus Wade is overturned. What is your overall thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this kind of bounced back like off of the religion thing, and that's why I wanted to kind of go into it.
Go for it.
So I learned a lot over the last 6 months since Roe versus Wade has become a topic. And I was a pro-choice conservative because I'm gay, so I'm like, I have no skin in this game. Like, I'm not getting a woman pregnant, A, and B.
Literally no skin in the game. Okay, go ahead.
Literally no, yeah. And I'm also like it's not me. Like, it's not I'm not a woman, right? No uterus, no voice, or whatever they say. But as I started to look at these different laws in these different states, California, which is one of the most liberal, very liberal on their abortion rights and what women can do, there's a loophole in a bill that was just passed that you can literally have your baby and have 28 days to dispose of your baby without you getting any repercussions or an investigation to take place. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got to read this again. There's no way that this is a thing, right? We're killing a baby 28 days now. Like, you have 28 days to like asphyxiation, drown them. Like, this is a actual breathing human being. And then I started looking in other states, and this is the problem that we're having, Anthony, is the reason why this has come up again, and the reason why that this is happening again is because people have literally gone and done the most. Like, they've gone way too far to the point where people are like, wait a minute, like, abortions should be rare, right? Like, I remember when it was like, even when we were in high school, and I'm like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna get an abortion? Like, it was super low key, like super quiet, super rare. And now it's like, girl, kill that baby. Like people are doing videos. And I think it sparks something where we're like, okay, well, we need to relook at this.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is, and this is that by design concept, a lot like what's going on in Pride Month and what's going on with Roe versus Wade is it's meant to divide people. The gun control stuff, like all of it is so hyper sensationalized because the middle ground area is completely left behind
Yeah.
by these extremes. So like you'll look at people right now that have been open-minded to homosexuality for the last 20 years. You'll have people open-minded to if something goes wrong with the baby, like you said, like if something you can have if like rape or whatever bad can happen, they can have
Which
the abortion.
it's honestly like it's 1% of, and I know a lot of people don't come forward. There's a lot of things, right?
Right.
Right. But
Yeah.
you're right.
And what's happened now is you'll see these people that have made the shift and soften their heart and become decent, more warm people. And now they're going back to being homophobic, racist, super. Because when I was growing up, it was the crazy people were the pro-life people with the dead babies. And now it's the pro-abortion people saying, like, with the same pictures, like, this is okay. Like, it's
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah. I never even thought about the race thing either, actually, now that you've lumped this all together, because they actually did hit all of the three sensitive topics that really, like, will rivet the nation, right? Abortion, gay, LGBTQ plus community,
Mm-hmm.
and the war on racism.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally riddled us for how long? Years and years, all those topics, right? And they decided to just boom, in like a matter of like 4 years, they're like, boom, every topic, boom, racist, we're all this shit's going on now. We're just killing black people. Like there's all kinds of racism. They've pegged us against each other. Now the gay people, they're bringing kids to strip clubs, putting in G-strings. You could have your kid do a sex change surgery at 5 years old. Your newborn baby can decide whether it's a boy or a girl. Like they can't even talk. I mean, and then Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
And all that came in between that was two administrations. Both sides hate that person equally.
Mm-hmm.
The right hates Joe Biden, and they don't care what happens to him. Like body wise, like he can go tomorrow and they'd be like,
Yeah.
And the same goes to the left, Trump. So
Yep.
4 years, well, the presidency was longer than that, but 4 years we've had three top issues and we hit every single one of them to divide the nation. What else is left? Oh, I know. Keep everybody in their houses and give them a pandemic.
Yep.
Now it's masked, unmasked, vaxxed versus unvaxxed. I mean, this is crazy.
It is, and that is the by design thing. Like we have got, and that is why I think we've kind of lost our mind across the board on all these issues, and we have regressed as a nation so far. And I'm not going to blame it just on Obama. I'm not going to blame it just on Trump. I'm not going to blame it even on Biden altogether. It is a cumulative effort that is, and it's even the way we look at criminals. Like this story that just came, not the 50 something dead people in San Antonio, which is already crazy that still isn't more readily in the news, but the one that's quietly in the news, unless you look at Fox News or local. And I don't know if you heard about this. There's a two kids, 21 to 20 and 25 years old in Tulare, California, that were found with over $1 million worth of fentanyl pills, and they were released a day later by a DA on the down low because they're clearly somebody like this. We are okay with this kind of behavior in this country, and that's why we have so many problems.
Yeah, and people, with the immigration stuff, like what people have to realize is when you have radical countries that touch your country, regardless of what you believe in humanity, like certain things need to happen to protect either country, whatever it is. Nobody's ever worried about Canada, right? Because they're a brother sister country. Like they have the same type of laws and stuff that we do for the most part. Mexico touches us. So it would be like if you lived in Costa Rica and Nicaragua, they don't get along. So you're not going to go to Nicaragua, but Nicaragua is going to come here. So they try to protect that border. It's what you do has nothing to do with how you feel about the people, but you have drugs and sex trafficking, all these things coming across the border. Why is it such an issue to just protect our border?
Right.
It's not that hard.
Right. All right, because we're the next topic is gonna be about gay marriage in the Supreme Court. So I think people are gonna want to hear it. So I'm gonna use this as a quick ad
Right.
break. We've got something that we one of our sponsors is Monate. It is a network marketing company, but it is also a health product. And their hair care, their skin care, etc. It's all plant based. They've done more clinical trials than any other company out there, and their culture is insanely supportive. We actually had Tony Van Schoik on our show. She was one of the three founders of the company. They are patriotic, especially Tony, and ultimately their product has gone through the ringer. 6 years of it, $2.3 billion worth of sales, and they have faced off against some of the major brands out there that have tried to bring them down with false lawsuits and all these different things. That's what you might see if you Google them. But
Wow.
honestly, they are a fantastic product. To go to bluntforce.mymonate. That's MYMONAT.com and check out the shampoo, the conditioner, and then obviously other line of different stuff that they've got that I am just now starting to get into and use their products. And I am not a MLM guy, not a network marketing guy. It's good shit. It really is. So check that out again. That's bluntforce.mymonate.com. And if you want to get involved in terms of actually selling it for whatever reason, if you're looking for a few extra bucks, please just go through that or hit me up personally. And if you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/blunt force discussion. Again, that's patreon.com blunt force discussion. Last but not least, if you like our gear, as much as I do love the proud shirt that Ant's got on, but if you like our stuff, Fight Against Tyranny, Unvaccinated Lives Matter, we're probably going to throw these up on the website pretty soon. BFD. Once you come in studio, Ant, you'll get one of these hats. And we will we'll check that out. Go to awakenotwokestore.com and have Awake for 15% off. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to throw a little thrill into it. We'll be right back. All right, just a couple more minutes with you, Ant. I've got some big questions because we've talked about Roe versus Wade. I do think it's bad constitutional law. I still don't know where I fall on. I mean, I wake up every morning wishing I was more pro-life, but I still see things. I think it's all this. Everybody's mental state is a little different where they see life, and I think that is why it's such a divisive issue. I'm definitely not pro-abortion in any way, shape, or form, but it is that element. Like I see people's reasons to an extent, and then I have an arbitrary like date, like 10 weeks or 12 weeks, like, and it's so unique to all people. But here is my big question at this point, because Roe versus Wade opened this can of worms, and Clarence Thomas opened this kind of thought process. Because the whole thing with Roe versus Wade, I actually don't think there's going to be less abortions next year. I don't, because people are just going to go to different states. There's going to be incentives. People are going to celebrate their ability to still do it, and they're going to fight back and say, look what I can do. And I think that that's even more twisted. My question now is, they're talking about the fact that Roe versus Wade is overturning that concept of it should be it's now a state, going back to the states, which
Right.
constitutionally is correct.
Right.
So what about gay marriage? What if that is brought up?
Yeah, look, everybody's reaction to the Supreme Court decisions that have been coming out, they're planning on coming out, it's emotional, automatic emotions. I get it. Even for pro-lifers, like there's an emotion, or I, there's still things that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Gay marriage is one of them. I technically that would go back to the states as well if that's brought back up. But we can't act like hooligans at the same time. So if there's, it's not a surprise that Clarence Thomas was pro-life. He's always been. It's not a surprise that he's against gay marriage. He's been vocal about that. But the gay marriage issue, I really don't believe will be touched. I really, really don't. Because yes, if it does go to the states, it does. But gay marriage has been a thing now for what, 10 years? I mean, you can get married in all 50 states, and some states have had it for longer than that. So there's all kinds of insurance clauses and insurance policies where people who are married have life insurance policies. That would be an economic, like, you would break the economy, or when it comes to certain things like that. So it would also be political suicide for Republicans.
And that's my point. And then I'll get the response, yes, but it's the right thing to do. And I'm like, why is it the right thing to do? Because in my belief system, in terms of our Constitution, is although it is a set document, it evolves. It's an evolution of thought. And the Roe versus Wade talks about abortion, and there is the question of some people believe it's murder, which I can see that side as well. In terms of gay marriage, it falls under the category of, and this word has been bastardized, progressive thought. But it is a progressive movement that hurts no one, helps some, and allows people to not be celebrated but accepted in a different way. And I do think that that would be a huge stain on this Supreme Court, and it will give them even more ground for the left. I think the red wave would be gone. First off, I think the red wave is already in jeopardy with the Roe versus Wade because they've done a great job marketing it, like a phenomenal job marketing this as hateful conservatives. So then the question becomes like, and I'm with you. I hope they don't touch it, but at this point, I always said Roe versus Wade probably was untouchable too, and I think we've learned that that's not the truth. So
Yeah. No, I don't think that it's untouchable. I think that it definitely can go back to the states. Here's what this is so as a conservative that wants to make sure that our constitution is protected in many ways, what I see this as is it goes back to the states and the federal government no longer has control over your life, like your lifestyle or what you do, right? It's we the people. So this gives it back to us to where we can fix or change our states because decisions become bigger than even the president, right? In a
yeah,
lot of situations with a lot of different things. So marriage in general, even if it's in a heterosexual relationship, it's not in the Constitution. It would go back to the states, but the states aren't going to touch that.
you would
That would
hope.
Well, that would look if Ron DeSantis did that in the state of Florida. There's a lot of gay conservatives and black conservatives and Cuban conservatives that support him bigly right now. Okay, I mean our local news station here in Southwest Florida. It's a pretty liberal station. They did a poll. 66% of Floridians approve of his job. So that says a big thing. So it would be political suicide because I would stand with the LGBT community too if gay marriage ever was in question.
Yeah. And it is, marriage is not, and this is where things have to evolve because marriage is not, should never be, it shouldn't be on the chopping block in that sense, because guess what? Nothing says white and black people can, in the Constitution should be able to get married. So it is something that obviously should be allowed. And that's
Right.
called progressive thought. And we went from being hateful racists in this country to saying black and white people can get married, women can vote, black people, like all these,
Right.
the
Not
evolution.
that was ever a question, right? Like you think about it and it seems so obvious now. You're like, why wouldn't those two people be able to be together? Why wouldn't that? Why? You you would rather have a small group of men and women vote on that while you're sleeping at night, or you would rather the people have those kinds of votes, let it go to the state, let the state figure it out, and let us run in public office, and then we'll change or adjust the state. I promise you that red wave that conservatives love so much, if that goes back to the states and the states overturn marriage, it ain't gonna be no red wave.
No.
It's gonna be pretty blue. And people just on that subject alone will be like, I'm out. Sorry. I got a kid that's gay. I got a sister that's trans. Everybody does at this point in our lives because everybody's now able to be open about it. So I would be willing to say you would probably have a landslide victory in choosing a Democrat administration, everything, if you did that. I
Yeah.
think that would be the complete suicide.
Agreed. Who do you vote for this next election? Who's your presidential pick?
Well, it's going to be pretty controversial. I love Donald Trump, but it should not be Trump.
Well,
But
we agree.
But if he was the guy I had to choose from, and the other person was the same recycled bullshit, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, like all these career politicians, I'm going to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
But I would like to see a young or a conservative that has both ideals like us
Yeah.
running, and I would vote for them. I would probably vote for Ron DeSantis
So
if
if
he.
DeSanta Claus ran, I mean, I know you're Florida. A lot of Floridians are like, nope, I want him here. I want him in
But
Florida.
his term is going to be up when it's 2024.
Yeah.
So at the same time, like I know he's born like he's a Floridian. He's still gonna be in our public office. Like
Yeah.
he's still got a lot of great connections with. I was just at a press conference of his, and they did environmental stuff on the Everglades. Like people love him, and so I look if he runs for president, he's got my vote. I know he would protect Florida.
Yeah, and I like DeSantis, and he always said he wasn't going to run until recently, and well, he never said he wasn't going to. He never said he was going to run, but when you're doing press tours all over the country,
Well, what he does say, and what's a great message, and that would be one of my final messages to America. You got to focus on 2022 right now, because I know I see a lot of Trump 2024, and I'm like 2024, bitch, we got to fix this shit tomorrow, today, yesterday. So like, we need to vote local elections. We're seeing people come out in droves for it. It's great. It's there's a lot of red waves, a lot of red winds. So I think that's what we need to focus on. 2024, 100%, or
yeah,
2020.
I'm a Rand Paul guy. My pick's Rand, and if there's any way to get DeSantis Rand together, that's my go-to. All right, I love Rand. I love the way that he fights against Fauci, and I just haven't seen him do anything I don't really like. All right.
I like Tulsi Gabbard, but
Well, and I love the left, right. I love the big Tulsi fan. I don't love that she was part of the World Economic Forum, but I think she got out a little younger,
yeah.
kind of like Elon Musk was too. And I think, and everybody's like, he was in there. He also left, and he also said, "Bye, piss off."
Right.
All right, this is a quick question. Then I'm gonna have your final words based on my final question. So, out of all the characters that you do and your different stuff, what's your favorite one?
I'm probably gonna say the phone calls. The
Yeah,
phone calls are always great, and what people don't know is I've been doing fake phone calls since I was little. I mean, I
Turkey
would pick
boys.
and be like, "Yeah, hello," and I would have conversations. I don't really plan the conversations out. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I call Joey and Cammy, and like I don't know the current press secretary, so she's Jean Claude Van Damme, or I call her Jean Claude Bustier, or like I make up all these names for her. So, but yeah, those are probably my favorite. And somebody actually, a follower sending me, keep on the lookout for a new phone. I have the blow up phone, but I'm getting a new phone, and it's like an old school Motorola flip, like a big chunker flip phone. So I'm gonna like close it with my chin. I have all these ideas.
I love it. That's good stuff. I like there was one of my favorite prank calls I've ever got, by the way, was or not that I've ever got, that I've ever seen, was a guy called a Home Depot and said butt plug. That's it. He only over and over. So what they did was they called him and he's like butt plug. What was that, sir? Butt plug. Was that butt plug? And finally they go, okay, they transferred him to automotive. What do you need, sir? Butt plug. Spark plug, butt plug. And then finally one guy goes, butt plug? We don't have butt plugs. He goes, thank you very much. Have a great day. It was great. So
That's
good.
great. I love that.
All right, final thoughts, and thank you for the time. But I want you to tell me, with all the stuff we've talked about, with the issues with Pride Month, all this stuff, how do we actually? Do you have a thought process in your head on how to fix this crap?
We really, really need to, in an effective way, both sides need to figure out how they're going to change these people in power, because it all needs to be washed out. I mean,
How do we change people in power? Because I say the same thing, and I try to think through it. I'm like, because in the end, we're still gonna have the same people voting. We keep.
I know, and that's the problem is like that. But I know violence isn't going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the biggest fear that the government probably has is for us to all join forces. How's that going to happen? I don't really know, and that's what's hard about it. It's like every day you just got to be like, okay, what am I going to do for my community today? Who am I going to vote for? Like, you got to just listen to all these politics. Now is more important than ever.
And I think honestly, what you do, what Bobby Sauce does, what the Chad Prathers do, and I know that's all I'm naming more conservatives, but using one of the best lines Bobby Sauce ever said was, "Comedy is the Trojan horse of truth." And I think the ability that you have to kind of entertain people, be funny, and also be gay, and like kind of support
Yeah.
that kind of community and foster that, and be able to change hearts, I think is huge. I think that's because I do think politicians and getting involved, that's all well and good, and we do the best we can. We also know that elections aren't perfect,
Right.
but at the end of the day, I do think doing like what you do is incredibly important. Is there any, I know you support a bunch of different brands, and I know you work with Ian and then Lions. Is there any brand that you want to direct people to?
Either, Lions Not Sheep, Patriot Gear. If you do follow me on Instagram or TikTok, it's Conservative Ant, obviously, or Conservative Ant 1.0 now on TikTok. But I usually have my link tree, so you can see all my affiliates. I work with America First Healthcare. It's Patriot-owned healthcare company that'll get you hooked up with great, health insurance and stuff like that. I have homeschooling stuff. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
I love it. And go be with your family. I know you got a big weekend coming up and 4th of July. So thank you so much for doing this. And I will catch you on the flip side, my man.
All right, Ann.
Take it easy.
Bye.